What is up, world? It's your boy Tommy on the spot for Watch Along Wrestling, and I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe. And it is that time of year again. It is Royal Rumble season, and you know that means that here on the channel, I am delighted to be joined by my good buddy, my good pal, Alex Doriot from the Talking Taker podcast. Alex, the tradition goes on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent, my friend. Life is full of surprises, just like the Royal Rumble, but it's no surprise that we're back here 4 years running with this annual
Hey,
Rumble Top 10. It's become a fun tradition that we've done here. We did the our favorite Top 10 Rumbles, our Top 10 non-Rumble matches at the pay-per-view, our bottom 10 Rumbles, and now I think we've expanding it in another fun way. I can't wait to see what's going to be on your list tonight.
absolutely. Now, I'm very excited about getting into these top 10 surprises in Royal Rumble history, surprise entrants, surprises, what have you, here in Royal Rumble history. But before we get there, Alex, how are you feeling about this year's Royal Rumble?
Oh, we were just saying a little bit before we started recording. I don't feel quite in the Royal Rumble spirit yet. Maybe it's the whole Saudi placement of it. It's gonna feel weird with it being not even just the political aspect of it, but just having the Rumble at like 2 in the afternoon here in the
Hmm.
United States. So much of the fun of the Rumble is having a big Rumble party,
Yeah.
or doing the Rumble drawings and having it like that. So it'll be weird to have it in the middle of the day. But I'm sure once we get around to it, once the day comes along, I'll be feeling it and I'll be excited to see what they have to offer. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. For me, I've been the last couple of years, I've started doing the recording of my uh, reactions to each one of the Rumble entrants.
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, I went to the Yep, I Like Wrestling party, which was like a viewing party for this wrestling group on Facebook that my buddy Katema turned me on to. Ari and I went and we did our reactions to every single entrant like at the party, which was really cool because you got to see everyone going nuts for everything. And then last year we did it live at
You were
Lucas Oil
there.
Stadium. We were
You were
there
there.
for the
That's why
Royal
we're not
Rumble.
feeling excited because we're not going to be there.
Exactly. And I think this is also the first time where like I have the first Rumble I went to last year was my first one live in 6 years, but I thought about going every single year that I could go within 2021, which they didn't have it. I thought about going. This year I was like, well, it's just so far away. It's hard to make that trip. But I agree. I think as it comes up, as it gets a little closer, it will the Rumble spirit will come through. Do you have a prediction on who you think is going to win the Royal Rumble this
Oh
year?
man, that's a great question. I do feel like it's kind of wide open. I really don't. I don't know who's going to be there. I do. I think we'll probably get a few surprises, but yeah, I don't know. And I have not kept up with it as closely as I should. So perhaps I should have a better idea. But I really don't even know who to pick.
Yeah, it's a tough one. For me, I do think it's going to be. I think for the men, it's going to end up being Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
It just feels like that's the direction they're going with it. And then for the woman, I'm going to throw out a kind of a dark horse pick. I'm going to go with a returning EST Bianca Belair
Oh,
to
I could
win the
see
Royal
that.
Rumble and go
Sure.
on to face Jade Cargill at
Yeah.
WrestleMania for the title. So that's what I'm thinking. I don't know anything there, but that I think it would be fun if nothing else on that one. But Alex, last year you made your first trip to a live Royal Rumble. What are some of your memories of that particular show that you went to and being there live for the Rumble itself?
Man, it was thrilling. Not just to be there with you guys, with our little Pod Street crew that we have developed, and we have continued that friendship. We've continued that relationship through our group text throughout this entire year. It's pretty awesome the bond that we've all created there. But it was just positively thrilling to be there at the Royal Rumble. That was been watching Rumbles for 35 years now at this point. Have always wanted to see one live. That was like the last thing really on my wrestling bucket list. So to be able to do that, the atmosphere in Lucas Oil Stadium was electric. And there's just something to it, something to be there live, counting down the numbers, hearing the buzzer go off, hearing the music go off, doing the live reactions with you to every single entrant as they came out. It's right up there, along with the WrestleManias that I've been to, as far as my favorite wrestling experience I've ever had. Maybe better than a couple of those WrestleManias. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was such a great trip, and it was almost like the trip itself was the Royal Rumble because
Mm,
they could get a message from you, hey, just arrived, or hey, Randy just arrived to the house, Steven
yeah.
just arrived. They were waiting for number 30, which ended up being a double run-in from Travis and Trey, and so
Yeah.
it was cool. Like we had people filtering in and out throughout the entire weekend, and it was just so much fun, even keeping the tradition alive of watching those early rumbles as we were getting ready for. I think we're watching the Royal Rumble found footage, getting ready
Oh
for
yeah.
the actual
That was a
show.
blast.
That was very, very cool.
Check out
Um,
the vlogs on Tommy's channel and on the Talking Taker channel.
Absolutely, I'll throw
Relive
some
the
links
memories.
below. Yeah, the memories there, and actually, we just last month as we recorded this, we had another one that we went to, going to see John Cena's final show, where you did capture a live markout moment of me when I noticed that the only green shirt guy was walking by, and I didn't even know you were recording. I don't know if you had like a secret cam or what, but I was like, "Hey guys, this green shirt guy right there." Couldn't tell because he wasn't wearing the green shirt, so I wasn't sure. But it was indeed green shirt guy. But what did you feel like? How do you feel about being at that show?
I mean, I don't know how you can top that. We could have just flown home after that. I didn't even need to go to Cena's last match. But
We
man,
could.
I was honored that you asked Randy and I and invited us to come along there to see that. Never expected to do that, and so glad that we were able to be there for history. It's been debated in the weeks since then, or how people felt about that. I was certainly sad to see Cena lose, but honored to be there to be a part of history in that moment, especially with you two guys. Yeah, it's very rarely that you get to go to a wrestling show like knowing for certain that you're going to be a part of a moment that
Oh yeah,
everybody remembers forever. That's what you're always hoping for. You're hoping you're at a show where something incredible happens, but you don't always get that. And we got to be there for that. So that's pretty special.
absolutely. Yeah, and I felt like that show felt like that little space where the show was taking place was like a wrestling apocalypse. Like there was just everywhere you looked, there was wrestling. You had
Mm,
the Cena store, the Fan Fest. The night before, we got to go see the Undertaker
that's
in
right.
his live show there, and even there, we went and got dinner over at the brewery, and next to us are like all of the super fans that sat in the front row. So it was a great experience. I was glad you guys were able to make it. And of course, you do host a podcast all about the Undertaker called Talking Taker. You've had some really good ones recently. Do you want to tell everyone what some of those shows you've done recently on the Talking Taker podcast?
Well, I think the one to plug is our January episode
Mm,
which was our Ultimate Royal Rumble Fantasy Draft, which you were a part
absolutely.
of, and all these other guys we're talking about were a part of. I think this concept that we've kind of stumbled on the past year it's very, very fun. One of my favorite things that we've done, and we're gonna have to try to continue to find some ways to do it. But in case you haven't heard them, what we do is we have six guys come on there and we do like a fantasy sports draft of matches from certain pay-per-views. So we did the Royal Rumble. We all got to build a dream Royal Rumble card using real matches throughout, the 40 years of Royal Rumbles that there's been. And we go with like an order drafting them. So if somebody picks your match, you can't pick it. You can only use a wrestler one time on your show, so you got to think about that. You got to meet other certain qualifications as far as title matches and things like that. So you have to, just like you're drafting a fantasy sports lineup, you got to have your quarterback, running back, wide receiver. That's what we're doing, building these fantasy cards. So it's really, really fun and surprising to see what people pick. It's hilarious to see when people screw up other people's picks or pick just out of left field stuff that you never thought was going to happen. They're a lot of fun if you haven't seen them yet. Highly recommend the YouTube versions, but of course,
Yes,
they're great on the
absolutely.
audio podcast as well. But I recommend people checking those out. The Royal Rumble one, it'll get you in the spirit. It'll make remind you of some great Royal Rumble matches to watch throughout the years. And then you can go back and watch the ones on WrestleMania, Survivor Series, SummerSlam.
Yeah, no, those are a blast. And since Undertaker is your guy, do you have a particular favorite Undertaker Royal Rumble moment?
It's hard to not go with the win in 2007
Yeah,
because it was not just seeing him win, it was this whole big mini match that him and Shawn
yeah,
Michaels had at the end, going like an extra 10 to 15 minutes there, like we never had seen before in the Royal Rumble. Even if Taker is not your guy, you got to mark that down as one of the best finishes to a Royal Rumble ever. So there's been other great moments, other great memories, other great surprises. Who knows if maybe some of that will come into play here, but I think that's got to be the number one moment. Hard to argue with that.
absolutely. No, I think for him, absolutely. And I think, our buddy Randy has said it best that that really was one going in. You kind of, as an Undertaker fan, maybe said, hey, the Royal Rumble win isn't going to happen.
Hmm.
But that was one going in where you sat there and went, all right, you really got two winners here. It could either be Sean, it can either be Taker.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's who the final two come down to. Both of those two guys are going to go to Mania, so it can go either way.
yeah.
And then it goes like 10, 15 extra minutes. So I thought that was awesome. And I completely agree. That moment it'll stand the test of time. And it's a actual Rumble moment for him, too, which I think is very cool as well.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome to have that on the resume.
All right. Well, as we get into our top 10 surprise entrants in the Rumble, how did you put together your list of the top 10 here?
Well, there are so many. I mean, that is one of the most exciting things of the Royal Rumble is the surprises. It is something that's become something that's expected in the Royal Rumble. I would say over the past 20 years or so. It wasn't so much there the first 10 years, but really over the past 20, 25 years, it's become a thing. It's become disappointing when you don't get any good surprises, and it almost makes you not like the Royal Rumble when that sort of thing
Oh,
happens.
100%.
So for mine, there's some great comedy Royal Rumble surprises, some great pops that people get, and I love those moments. But for me, I didn't really have many of those on my list. What I thought about was people that their surprise entrance didn't just make an impact in that Royal Rumble, but it made an impact, later on, maybe on the road to
Mm.
WrestleMania and beyond that point. That's what qualified it and made it a great surprise in my book. Not all of them are like that. I do have a few where maybe it's just a one-off return or it didn't really wasn't that significant in the long run of things. But as my list goes on, that importance, that weight of the return really factored into my decisions.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, and for me, I think it's tough because a lot of them I did go with the ones I was there for because you
Of
remember
course.
what it was like to feel that moment and what it meant and everything to that extent. So those kind of definitely factored into mine. But was there one before you got into your top 10? Was there one that you got rid of at the last minute and said you just didn't have enough space for it? If you had an extra space, you would have included one.
Yeah, I don't want to say it in case it's on your list, but I do
Mm.
have like a first one out of my
Gotcha.
top 10, and I did go back and forth on one that bounced it out of here. So it's one that came to mind early on, but again, I think it was one of those things where it's like maybe it didn't matter that much in the long run of things, as fun as it was, and maybe if I debated it a little more, maybe I would have bounced it back in. But yeah, I do have one. What about you?
Oh, I had a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I took out towards the end. That I had to, just wasn't enough space.
Right.
But what maybe we'll do is at the end we'll go through some that missed it or some other ones we want to acknowledge along the way. But without any further ado, Alex, you are the guest here, and I will give you the honor of starting off your list of your top 10.
Well, I will start it off with one that, after I just said all that, this one really didn't matter much in the long run of things. This guy did not end up having much of a run after this. This was not quite a one-off, but really wasn't that significant overall. But for me, it was true, like extreme nostalgia for me. This guy was my absolute favorite when I was a kid and a peak wrestling fan. So to see him come out in 2011 in the Royal Rumble at number 32 in the 40-man Royal Rumble. I'm talking about Big Daddy Cool Diesel coming out with Matt Stryker giving a holy on commentary.
Oh, Matt Striker, his legacy night in the WWE was on that night on commentary. He was
It was.
tremendous on that night.
But this was Kevin Nash's first appearance in 8 years in the WWE since
Wow.
2003. Hair just dyed deep black. You love to see it. But it was something like you really didn't expect.
Yeah.
That's another thing that factored into my surprises was did this really come out of left field? Was this truly shocking? And this was, man, he had been in TNA, but you felt like he was pretty much past his prime. You really didn't expect to see him in WWE ever again. So this was shocking. And the fact that he came in as Diesel as well, not just
Yes,
Kevin Nash. He was in
for
the
sure.
full Diesel gear, he puts the glove on as he's standing in the aisleway, soaking in a big pop. I absolutely loved it. Sadly, it did not go anywhere. I was banking on him being in the 8-man tag at WrestleMania 27 with the core versus Santino,
Ah.
Kofi. Well, it was Santino, Kane, Big Show, and supposed to be Kozlov. Kozlov gets kicked out of it at the last minute on I think on the SmackDown before
Mm,
Mania. And Kevin
yeah.
Nash was at Access where I got his autograph, and I
All
was like,
right.
guys, they're bringing in Diesel. Diesel's gonna be at WrestleMania. He's gonna be the mystery opponent. And so when
Uh,
Kofi Kingston comes out, I'm just
oh
like,
man. You were not shouting. They couldn't hear you shouting. You were not having any of that.
wasn't having it.
No, that was an incredible moment. And they had a little face off, him and Big Show. So I remember when that face off happened, going like, "Oh, that's going to be the Mania match." And I
I
would have
would have
been
loved it.
bowling shoe ugly, but it would have been
Oh
awesome.
yeah,
Like
but I would have been here for it. Yeah.
you would have wanted that at WrestleMania. I completely agree. I was there for that incredible moment. It's funny because that day I was there with two of my buddies, and for a long period of time, I've been known to like get a spoiler sent to my phone and look over at my buddy James and go, "Hey man, I don't want to ruin this surprise. Can you just let me know if it's a real surprise?" And that night he was like, "Absolutely not. I'm not looking at it. Do not
No.
show me. I don't want anything ruined for me." And we were glad we didn't have it. I think it was Nash who was like arriving to the airport. So it was like they showed someone arriving to the airport. Or they found someone there, and so I did not show him. And an incredible moment, especially because we got one earlier as well in Booker T coming
That's
back.
right. That's right.
And so for us, it was just like I remember my friends were like, I just really hope we get a surprise. Like that would be my buddy Toby, his first Rumble, and he was like, I would just love a surprise. And so when those guys came out, like he lost his mind. Because the funny part was they were being teased to come back to TNA without a
Yeah,
contract.
sure.
And so people thought they would eventually show up, and they never did. Obviously, they show up here for WWE, so it was a very, very cool moment and a lot of fun for sure. All right, so getting into my top 10, and I had gone through it and I had put my 10 together. And then right when I got there, I was like, well, do I really want this person at number 10? And immediately it came to me 10. And then I had to go ahead and say,
No.
forget about it. I got to scrap this guy because I was reminded of the 2007. Talk about something that didn't really go that far. But in 2017,
Oh man.
there was a moment that everyone in the world wanted. And number 9 comes out, and the whole place 10, 10, 10. Everyone going nuts for it until finally it was the perfect 10, Ty Dillinger. His big moment in WWE. I don't know if he had any moment after this in WWE, but on that night, people were so excited for him. And it was an incredible moment. I went back and watched that moment again, and I had forgotten that like for that 2 minute interval, everyone is doing 10. People are, and it's growing and growing and growing. And then number 10 hits, his music comes out. And he had gotten that over so much, like to the point that that year, anytime when people would get up and do the 1, 2, 3 to 10 punches to the head, the whole crowd would just go 10, 10, 10. It was I don't even know what it was supposed to be, but for what it was at the time, it worked.
It did. I mean, I cannot deny that, especially that moment at the Royal Rumble. Never been a huge fan of that guy, and not to be a jerk, but you see where his career has
He's
gone
still there, right?
before and now. Yeah, he's in NXT, I
Right,
believe.
right.
Never been a huge fan of his, but I cannot deny that the crowd was electric for that, and you had to do it. You had to do it. You had to
Yeah,
give him the 10
absolutely.
spot. So it was fun, very memorable, and very exciting.
It is crazy that he got so much there, and they didn't even go like, "Hey, maybe we got something with this guy. Look how crazy everyone's going." But it really was the 10 at number 10 that
It's
got
just
everyone crazy.
it's so
Yeah,
one note, and it's a fun
right.
note,
It
and you
is
you need guys like that. You need moments like that in the Rumble. We talked about before what makes a great Rumble. You need spots like that and moments like that. So it plays an important role. I got to give him credit for that. I can't deny
for sure. Absolutely. So that was my number 10.
that.
Who is your number 9?
I love it. Number nine for me, again, this did not have a huge impact, at least in the WWE. It did end up having an impact elsewhere. And I'm not talking about Impact, I'm talking about AEW. But this one is one from the COVID era that we rarely list
Mm,
on any of
you're
our
right.
top 10 lists. But I am going to go to the COVID era here. And this could be too low for some people, but it was a really thrilling moment. I'm talking 2021. I'm talking about the return of Christian to the
Absolutely.
WWE. Came in at number 24 for his first match since 2014. So 7 years since his
Wow.
last match. And what made this great was obviously you had Edge come out the year before, who I think we're
Right.
going to get to, both of us on our list
At
here a
some
little
point.
bit
Wow.
later
Yeah.
on.
A spoiler alert. But yeah,
Yeah.
we could.
Uh, but you really didn't hear any talk, as far as I recall, about Christian returning. Like
Yeah.
it came out of nowhere. And he, just like Edge, you thought, well, he's never going to wrestle again. He's been out for so long. He's had these concussion issues or whatever he had. He's never going to get cleared. So it wasn't even a question. So there was no talk of it, no rumors about it. This whole time he's doing the Edge and Christian show that reeks of awesomeness on the
Right.
WWE
Right.
Network.
Yeah.
Underrated program.
Oh,
That
great
was
show. And I thought their podcast was great too.
they had the podcast as
Yeah.
well. But he comes out, he looks like $1 million. He's an emotional reunion there with Edge, and you think, oh my God, Christian back now? These guys are gonna have a run.
Yeah. When he comes
And he's
out, Edge
never
is
heard from again in WWE.
right. That's it. But when he comes out, Edge is in the ring, right?
Yeah, because Edge came in, I think, at number one that year,
Right.
or
Right.
early on, something like
Early
that.
on. Yeah. It might have been number one. And did he win that year,
Yeah,
Edge?
he won that
Oh,
year. Yeah,
wow. Boy, that COVID era is such a blur.
yeah, it is.
But they do have a really nice moment where
Oh,
like
it's
they
great.
embrace, they give a big hug to each other. And actually, in a way, I think it's nice they got that moment without fans in a strange way.
Mm,
Like obviously it's best if fans were there. It would have been awesome to see like the crowd would have just went nuts for him if he
right.
had came out. But the idea that they at least had this moment like with each other, I thought was really cool.
It was, and so awesome to see him get to just be back in the ring again, even if it's just going to be for that one time. But yeah, then he goes off and he ends up getting signing with AEW, and he has a great second life there in AEW. He's one of their top stars and makes a lot of great moments and memories there. He's still kind of going over there, so kudos to him. Just unfortunately, I couldn't rank it any higher just because it is just for the one night there.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember his debut at AEW was presented as this like going to be a huge deal. Former WWE champion is signing
Mhm.
with AEW, and I actually like the last time I had a bunch of people come over and throw down money
Yeah.
because we wanted to see who this was, and there were folks thinking it was going to be John Cena, which is ridiculous. Folks thinking it was going to be Brock Lesnar, which is equally ridiculous. And I remember one of my friends was like, "What if it ends up being Christian?" And I was like, "That would deliver, though. Like that would be awesome."
Yeah.
And it was Christian. And like, all right, Tony Khan didn't really like he gave you, yeah, he didn't give you John Cena or Brock Lesnar, But that was pretty great.
That's
And
pretty
yeah,
great.
he's had an incredible. I mean, you think about like the go F yourself moment with Edge.
Right.
I mean, what a moment! Like he comes in, they give because I think that's almost a throwback to the Rumble.
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
Rumble, they have the big embrace, and then when Edge shows up at AEW, they have the big embrace again. And like this time, Christian's like, "Go f yourself." So I actually think this run for Christian's been one of his best runs, and he's been one of the real bright spots in AEW for sure.
Oh, I would agree completely. Yeah, he reinvented himself and, added this whole new layer to himself over there and really cemented why he belongs as a top guy, as a main eventer.
For sure. Now, one thing that was a kind of a downer for myself personally is for years I went on and told people one of my claims to fame as a fan is that I was at both Edge
Mm,
and Christian's final match. I was there
yeah.
live for both.
Yeah.
For Edge, obviously WrestleMania 27. Christian was like a throwaway four-way at the Barclays Center
Uh,
before Rumble 30. I think it was
I
Mania
remember
30, like
that.
on the way to Mania 30.
Yeah.
And then both of them retired. But glad they were able to have this closure. Can't only think about myself all the time, most of the time.
I, I I
That's
used to feel the same way about Edge's retirement. Yeah, I was a
right,
little
because that's
bummed.
something that you felt like, oh, we were there for it. Now there's no
Yeah.
way I'll be there. I'm not going to be there for it. So
No.
it's tough, but that is a good one. For me, number 9, I'm going to go back to my first travel wrestling show that had me get in a plane and head over. And I went down to your old stomping grounds in Atlanta, Georgia for the Royal Rumble
ATL, baby.
2010. It was a last minute, literally just on the phone with my buddy, shooting the breeze. Wouldn't it be cool if we went to the Rumble? And we booked it on the spot and left. Like I called my mom, was like, "Hey, I'm going to Atlanta for the Rumble," and she was like, "Buddy, why?" And I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be awesome." And we went there. And this one is an entrant from that I remember just losing our minds over. And it is the Glamazon, Beth Phoenix,
Ah,
who
yeah.
showed up, and it
Love
was
that pick.
awesome because it was out of nowhere. And when she shows up, like she takes it so serious too. She gets in there, she starts kind of clearing house, gets rid of the great Khali because she kisses him to get him to like pull him out of there. And then I think she's eliminated by Punk, who I think at the time she may have been dating. So that was kind of a cool, kind of a little cool wrinkle
That's
in the whole
right.
thing.
Wow.
But it was a very cool moment. She looked like $1 million coming in, and it was the first time they had a woman in the Rumble since obviously China had done it years earlier. So very cool, and it was cool to see her kind of break that barrier and get that spotlight.
Oh man, what's such a good pick. I wish I had picked that. I guess I didn't. I don't know why I didn't think about that one as a surprise, but it definitely was. It was not announced, and so that totally fits there. And that the elimination of Great Khali, I think next year, if we do a top 10 eliminations of all time, that's going to be in consideration for
It
me.
was great.
One of my favorite moments. She does
It
it
was
so perfectly. I totally forgot about her and Punk being an item, but yeah, they got a little foreplay in on that night.
yeah, they're all kind of not too many degrees of separation between the rated R superstar and the straight edge savior there. But yeah, that was I remember that was like Punk's crew back then. It was like
Yeah.
him, Colt Cabana, Beth Phoenix, Hallie from Paramore, the guitarist of Newfound Glory, who I think is still like a good friend of his.
Oh my
And
gosh.
that was like the crew for him there for a bit.
Man, great call and a great moment. And it was shocking. You did not see it coming. There hadn't been a woman in the Rumble since 1999, and if anybody could fit that bill, it was Beth Phoenix.
Yeah,
She
for
definitely
sure.
deserved to be there and deserved to have that moment.
Definitely.
Now, for my number 8 pick, this one might be a little questionable, a little borderline as far as whether it's a surprise or not, but I'm gonna make the case for it. And ultimately, we're just doing a show on YouTube, so it doesn't matter. But it's so you may disagree, but this is my gonna be my pick here. I'm gonna go with Bret Hart in the 1994 Royal Rumble.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Now, I did go back and watch. He was announced as an entrant before this match started. So he was not technically a surprise. But let's paint the picture there for the 1994 Rumble. Before the Rumble match, Brett and Owen going against the Quebecers for the tag team titles. Of course, Owen gets pissed at Brett for not tagging out, and Owen kicks Brett's leg right out of his leg there. So
He's not having it. Yeah, he's pissed.
Brett's crippled, man. He can't walk. His knee's totally busted. He's getting carried out of the arena. So you think, well, he's not coming back. There's no chance we're going to see Bret Hart again later tonight. We get to the Royal Rumble match, and number 25 comes along. The buzzer goes off, and Vince McMahon on commentary, it's, it's nobody comes out to the
Right.
ring in that spot. And then Vince, he goes into serious voice. Oh, that must have been Bret Hart. Bret Hart's not gonna make it into the Royal Rumble tonight. I just can't believe it. Match goes on. Couple spots later, we hear the buzzer, and we I think we've talked before about how important it is whenever they finally figured out how great it was to have music in the Royal Rumble, to actually have people's music
Yes,
play. I actually think this moment works even better without the music because
I
the
agree.
buzzer goes off, the camera zooms in at the entrance, there is no music. You wait a couple beats, and Bret Hart comes limping out, doing the best sell job of a leg you'll ever gonna see, and the crowd just erupts just at the sight of him. And I have it burned into my head since I was a kid. Ted DiBiase on commentary. Why Ted DiBiase was on commentary, I have no idea, but
He
I
was
can't
like,
believe it. I just can't believe it. Bret Hart making his way there. So I love that they teased you, that they made you think he wasn't going to be in it, and then surprised you by having him come out there. And it just puts Bret over so much as that underdog who's going to fight through
yeah.
anything. And so when he wins that night, when he goes on to WrestleMania, I think just the fact that he came in and overcame the odds in that surprise moment really helped establish him and make what happened later that year even more important.
Oh, agreed. I think it's a great pick, and I hadn't thought of it, but you're 100% right. It was surprising, and of course, they tease you with the non-entrant. Do you remember who the non-entrant was supposed to be?
I believe it's supposed to be Bastion Booger.
That's right. Unfortunately, he was dropping a deuce, and he couldn't get out to the ring in time. They were saying he was sick because he had eaten too much. And that's almost like Vince is on commentary, and he's almost like, and it was supposed to be Bastion Booger, but he was too sick to make it. And he's like, ha, 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 gotcha, Marks. That's basically what I think I got from it. But it's an awesome moment. And I remember as a kid just being like, wanting Luger, wanting Luger, wanting Luger. Brett comes
Okay, yeah.
out, and I'm immediately like, forget Luger.
Forget
Oh my
Lex
God, if
Luger.
Brett could win after Owen just kicked his leg out. And of course, that's then a precursor, whereas like it's Owen's moment, Brett steals it at the Rumble. And then again at Mania, Owen beats Brett, has his moment, Brett steals it at the end of the night again. And it's just like it continues to build between the two of them. But it's also funny because at the end of that show, and I never realized that, I just went back and rewatched all the Rumbles, and that one came out. And when that one does, they start doing like, "Hey, who do you guys want? It was Luger." Everyone's like, "Yay!" And then it's like, "It was Brett." Everyone's like, "Yay!" And towards the end, it is like, I'm like, "Stop it! Put Luger out of his misery." Because after people like, once they keep going to Luger and Brett, towards the end, it's like he gets nothing
No,
when they're raising his hand. No one wanted four Lex at that point. They were like, if we could have Brett, keep Lex. It is what it is. Like we do not need him. But yeah, no, that was a great shout. Very, very and yeah, it
it's
ends up being very important.
it's questionable. It's kind of cheating the system a little bit. I don't know if it's a full true surprise, but it is one of my favorite moments. I think it's underrated and slept on. And I just am very nostalgic for the 94 Rumble. That was one of the few tapes I actually had as a kid. So that was one, you'd rent the tapes from Blockbuster or whatever, but that was one that I actually had. So that's one I watched many, many times over. So I have a special place in my heart for it.
And that moment at the end when Howard finally tells it's both guys and the crowd is deflated, but then the Mania music hits.
Ah,
Awesome. I mean, so damn cool. Like I
yes.
didn't care about the live crowd at the time. I was like, what are we gonna do? This is
Let's
amazing.
go.
Yeah,
WrestleMania. Yes.
exactly. And I thought you were going a different way. I won't explain where I thought you were going to go
Okay.
in case you do go there. at the end. I also did not go with this entrant in the Rumble, but I'll explain why in the end. For my number eight, I went to my 2018.
Mm-hmm.
It was the one of my bachelor parties, so it holds a place for me. Went to my bachelor party in Disney World, and then I came back for Raw 25. Bad show that I think later on will be appreciated for that Vince and Austin moment.
Yeah, sure.
But
Yeah.
other than that, pretty bad. And Then got tickets for the Rumble that Wednesday. They released tickets for the
Ah,
first time, and I
yeah.
got tickets. I remember we came home. I hit the theme for the Rumble. My brother-in-law like broke down. He was so happy to know we were going. He was just like, "No way!" And That this particular entrant is in the men's Rumble, and we'd gotten a few already. We had gotten like you've got your Andrade, which we were like, oh man, Andrade, we want him
Uh-huh.
in the Rumble because he had this great match with Johnny Gargano the night before. We'd gotten this
Yeah,
fun
yeah.
nostalgia return of the Hurricane, who was one of my favorites. I was like, this is awesome. And then we got my choice for number eight out of nowhere. I was stunned. Rey Mysterio. Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
and they play Booyaka Booyaka. He comes running out, and it's like Ray from 2002 is in the Rumble in 2018. It looks like he hasn't lost a beat. And it was crazy because, like, in 2014, he looked like he had lost a beat. But here he was back in 2018. And not only does he participate in the Rumble, but he lasts all the way to the final couple people. And they do that great moment where it's like Ray, Cena, and Orton on one
Yeah.
side. And then the opposite side is like, I think it's Roman, Finn, and
Shinsuke.
Shinsuke. And Ray came out. I remember part of me was like a little disappointed only because I knew this was it. I was like, they can't give us any more. And in the final entrant, I thought was going to be Daniel Bryan because I thought he was going to return, which he did come back a little while later. And instead, the final
Yeah.
entrant was like Dolph Ziggler, a total fart in church. But I thought for sure, but Ray was great, and it ends up being this run that has gone on for going on over 8 years now
Still
with
going.
Ray. Yeah, he's still out there, and he's given us Dominic, and so I had to include it here.
Dude, excellent pick. I did consider that one. I did go through it. I did not put it on there, but you really sold it right there. You made me think, maybe I should have, because I was just like, yeah, I remember that, but I didn't really remember much about it. But man, you sold it there. And it's true. It's totally true. You remember watching him in 2014 thinking, wow, what a great career it's been for Ray. It might be
Absolutely.
time, might be time to hang it up here. And yeah, dude, even still to this day, he is finally starting to show his age a good bit here lately,
Yeah.
but still, he got another great run and put on some more incredible matches. I don't know what sort of stem cells or whatever
Yeah.
sort of treatment he's been doing. God bless it, dude. It
Yeah,
absolutely worked.
for sure. No, absolutely. So yeah, I had to include it out there as well, and that's one of my favorite Rumble shows. I think both Rumbles are really a lot of fun on that one.
I do too. Yeah, I agree. I think those are both good rumbles and a good show. Now, for my number seven pick, I'm gonna keep cheating a little bit.
Okay.
Now, normally before we start our countdowns, Tommy, you always ask me, now are we just doing rumbles that were on pay-per-view, or are we doing rumbles that were on TV? And I pretty much always say we're only doing pay-per-view rumbles. Well, I thought I should finally pick one that was on TV here.
I know where you're going with
Yeah.
this. This is a good one. Absolutely.
And I rewatched it. I rewatched this match the other day because I was thinking, should I include it? And I just had to because I got goosebumps watching it, man. It's such a good moment. I'm going to the Corporate Rumble from
Absolutely.
January of 1999. And really, you could say the whole match was surprises because this
Oh yeah.
match, nothing was announced here going on, but it's DX versus the corporation here for the number 30 spot in the Royal Rumble. I believe there's 9 or 10 guys that eventually come in. You
Yeah.
got Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, X-Pac, Triple H. Then you got Boss Man, Shamrock, Test, and somebody else I'm forgetting there from the corporation. But they go on. Everybody comes out. Triple H is the last entrant, I believe. Him and Boss Man are fighting it out, and then all of a sudden we hear another buzzer go off, and Cole and King are on commentary like, "What's going on here?" and Vince McMahon comes strutting out in his tank top, in the muscles and everything. And first of all, that was shocking because he
Huge.
wasn't
Yeah.
supposed to be in
Yeah.
the match. He's already number two in the Rumble, but he doesn't want to go against Stone Cold at number one. He thinks this corporate Royal Rumble, this is how he's going to get out of it, and he's going to get to be number 30. So he comes strutting in there, and him and Boss Man and Test are going to take care of business there on Triple H, and they're beating him up and taking care of business. And what do you know? We hear another buzzer go off, and you're
Ah,
thinking, we've already seen all of DX. We've already seen Triple H, X-Pac, Road Dogg, and Billy Gunn, but we haven't seen my pick here, number 7, China, who comes
ah,
out with an enormous reaction. And this was so unexpected because you thought, well, she can't be in the Royal Rumble. She's a girl.
right.
They've never done
Exactly.
that before. What's happening here?
Yeah.
And Patterson and Briscoe are on the outside. They're like, you can't get in there. You're a girl. You can't go in there. And she decks them. She gets in the ring. Then Stone Cold's music hits. He's not an entrant
Oh,
in this,
wow.
but the glass shatters, so the crowd erupts, and that distracts Vince for China to knock him over the top rope. Do you remember Vince's elimination here?
Don't.
Oh, this is where he goes out of the ring and about breaks his neck on the bottom
Ah,
rope as he's going out. And, he's not a wrestler, so he does not take that bump very well, but about breaks his neck there going out of the ring. That's worth going back and watching that. But that, of course, led to China being in the Royal Rumble and breaking that boundary and just having one of the most historic entries ever into the Royal Rumble there. So I wanted to include that one because I think it is such a great surprise reaction, and
oh, yeah.
I think it's worth discussing, even though maybe it doesn't quite fit our rules. It's fun to just talk about it.
Ah, we make the rules as we go. That's a great inclusion. And I went on the other day about how much I love the 1999 Royal Rumble, and I think part of it really is the idea of the build with the corporation, DX, Austin, Vince. I mean, even before the Rumble starts, they outline like how months in advance this took to coming back, and all the players, Commissioner Michaels getting involved. It's an overbooked hot mess, but I love it. And this was very cool. And China coming out too, like her entry. There's like few people you remember their exact entrance. You remember China's. Like people were like, "Oh man, this is awesome! Here she comes." Sexual chocolate. Mark Henry's in the ring. He's kind of going. Him and China go at each other. It's really good stuff. So
Oh,
great
absolutely.
inclusion there. I love it. All right, number 7 for me. And you remember there were a lot of legends at the John Cena farewell. They were sitting in that front
There
row.
were.
And who was the legend that I was most excited to see?
I believe you wanted to walk with Elias
I
most
wanted
of
to
all.
walk with Elias. He's my guy. I love Elias. And here at my number 7 choice, the number 2 entrant, Any Great, J-E double F, J-A double R, E double T. It was brilliant, and it started off the Royal
It was.
Rumble. And yes, it was a total just, hey, we're going to give you a pop. And for me, I remember just losing my mind. I was like, this is brilliant. It's kind of the Jeff Jarrett of this era coming face to face with the Jeff Jarrett of old.
Yeah.
I lost my mind. I was so excited for it. And I thought it was just an incredible moment. Of course, he doesn't last long, but he gets to cut his promo, gets to go, ha ha, do his whole deal. And then Elias lays him out, and away he goes. And I sat down. I was feeling like $1,000,000. I looked over at Ari and my wife, and she said, "What the heck is that?" But everyone went so insane for it that she was kind of swept up in it as well. And I thought it was out of nowhere. Like hadn't heard anything about Jeff Jarrett. Thought he had well burned that bridge, and there he was showing up to go against Elias. And the Double J character, in my opinion, is very similar to Elias. So
Oh
I thought
yeah.
it was fantastic.
Oh, it's perfectly done, perfectly timed there. It's one of those things you could only do at the beginning of the Rumble, with the 1 and 2 entrants because, you got to have Elias needs to be number one to come out there and do his whole shtick and everything. So it absolutely worked. And it was totally out of left field, but it made complete sense. You didn't know you wanted it until you saw it happen, and it was awesome. Yeah, I wish Jeff could have been in there a little bit longer because he could still go.
Oh
And
yeah,
I think they had a match the next night. They had a singles match
you
the
might be right
next
about
night,
that.
if I recall. But yeah, it was great to see. Very memorable. That was one that was also under consideration for me, but just didn't quite crack the top 10. But I do love it.
And every time to this day, when the lights go out for a Rumble entrant, I'm hoping we get that guitar strum.
Yeah.
And only I would cheer, but I'm
Oh no, I
hopeful.
think it would get a huge pop.
I think it would, right? Because I
Yeah,
mean, people
for
were
sure.
excited to see him at John Cena's. It was so random too. All
Yeah.
these legends sitting there, and then there's random old Elias still in full gimmick too, sitting with all the legends there. So it was very.
Well,
And then I remember like we haven't seen him in ages, and Randy's like, actually 4 weeks ago on NXT he showed up as Elijah. He now wrestles full time for TNA, and I was like,
yeah, little did we know.
really? I had no clue. But yeah, very, very cool moment for sure.
He could maybe do the Mick Foley gimmick there and come in as Elias and then come in, shave the beard off, come in a few entries later as his cousin Elijah. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, for sure.
All right, number
So, yeah,
six.
your sixth pick, yep.
Yeah, my number six pick. I am gonna go back to a Rumble that you already mentioned, but I'm gonna pick a different entrant in there. So I'm going to go to your first ever Rumble there in Atlanta in 2010 to a surprise entrant. I think this one doesn't get talked about as much because he has another surprise that we're going to get to later on in this list. But I'm going to pick for the first time on my top 10 Edge in 2010 coming
Ah,
out at number 29 there. If you remember, he had been out with an injury for months after getting hurt in 2009. He was doing that tag team with Chris Jericho, where they were going to have supposedly a long run with the tag team titles. I can't remember exactly what his injury was. I want to say maybe an Achilles or something,
yeah, I think you might be right. Achilles, I think so.
but he's out for a long time. And Edge was always great about doing surprise returns from injuries. He had a number of them, and he would always do a good job about not tipping people off. So you didn't quite expect when it was going to happen. So he comes in at 29. I do love that it's 29 and not 30. I think
Yes.
that gets overdone a lot, having the big return at 30. So I like that he came in at 29, and he's got like the long beard, like he's been in the woods for 6 months. He comes out looking absolutely crazy, and Jericho is in there too. So like the guy,
Yeah.
like his arch rival that he's coming out to get revenge on is in there. He goes after him, goes absolutely nuts. And I think everybody wanted Shawn Michaels to win that Royal Rumble. At least
Yeah.
our crew did. I don't know about you being there, what it was like
Oh,
in the
for sure.
arena, but he was chasing Undertaker to get that
Yeah.
rematch there. So it was like kind of heartbreaking to see Shawn Michaels get eliminated there, but you got over it pretty quick when Edge won, and it was not announced beforehand that he was coming back. He gets the big surprise win, and like, all right, let's go, Edge and Jericho at WrestleMania. I'm excited for it.
100%. 100%. And I still say to this day, it made no sense to me why Edge didn't beat Jericho at that year's WrestleMania, especially because they wanted to get Jack Swagger over. And Jack Swagger wins the title 2 days after that Mania on SmackDown, 4 days after, I guess, when we saw it, by beating Jericho. Whereas, like, wouldn't it have made more sense for Edge gets this crowning achievement moment? He comes back from injury, and Jack Swagger shows up, cashes in on his first night back on SmackDown. Made no sense to me. I always thought that was the play to go with that moment with Edge, but
Yeah,
incredible moment. We were so pumped for it at the time. You're right. I think it definitely is higher on the list if the other one doesn't happen, but it is a
right.
great moment for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I just remember being positively thrilled for it, jumping out of my seat when it happened because you just didn't see it coming, and it made total sense. And yeah, it's one of my favorite underrated ones.
For sure. And you knew Edge now was back in the mix for Mania too. So you're like, this is great.
Exactly.
We got one of the big players back
Oh
just in
yeah.
time. So very cool. All right. For me, ironically enough, I'm going to go with a match you mentioned earlier.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the other big surprise entrant at the Royal Rumble 2011, a show was at. And this one I was marking out, bro. It was the return of Booker T. And he comes out and, we didn't hear the striker commentary. We lost our minds. And it was done so well because they were building up the new Nexus that I thought was just insufferable and not working. And you had Punk in there with Mason Ryan,
Mason
Husky
Ryan.
Harry, Hunky Harry, Husky Harris, whatever his name was. Is he Hunky Harry? I don't even know
Hunky
what his name.
Harry.
What was the old Bray Wyatt character?
Husky
And
Harris. Yeah.
Husky Harris
I
and
like
Michael
Hunky Harry.
Hunky Harry would have been a great name. We should, if ever I have an indie, I'll bring a character in Hunky Harry. But they also had Michael McGillicuddy, like no heat, the worst group
Oh
ever,
God.
and that's how
Oh,
it felt like the night
brutal.
was going to go. It felt like you needed someone to give you a little bit of fresh air and a breath of fresh air, so to speak. And here he comes, Booker T. First time we had seen him since SummerSlam 2007, so just felt like out
Yeah.
of nowhere,
Yeah.
and it was awesome. He shows up. He doesn't have a particularly great showing. He does eliminate Husky Harris, hits the spinneroonie, and then out the ring he goes. But it made sense because this continued to build the Nexus up as being unstoppable and brutal until finally Cena's music hit. And even in his hometown of Boston, where he's almost always booed out of the building, we were so happy to see Cena because we wanted someone to
Oh
stop
yeah.
the Nexus. So again, that Rumble is way too many guys, and I think it's not a particularly great Rumble, but awesome surprise there with both Booker T and Diesel.
Yeah, I have no problem with that pick. I just went with Diesel out of those two because, like I said,
He's
I
your
have
guy.
a lot more nostalgia for him. So Booker T is a good pick. He actually does have a little bit of a run after that, and he does have a few more matches. And I went to a house show in 2011 where he faced Cody Rhodes, if I recall, like
Wow.
Intercontinental title match with him on there. And I think he's like the GM of SmackDown at some point after that.
Been a commentator for a
On
long period of time.
commentary. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it was great to have him back. It's always thrilling to have Booker T on the show. So
And
it's
also, I
good to
think he
have
was
him back in
back
the
to do
family.
Tough Enough, right?
Oh yeah.
Was
Oh
he a part of
man.
that?
I think so. I think so.
Right? Yeah, I don't remember. It was.
That
I
whole
know it
Tough
was.
Enough season's a blur, man.
Yeah, yeah, that one's rough. I know that one is Austin is the host.
Austin's the host. Yeah.
Trish is one of them, and I think the other one's either Bill DeMott's one of them,
I think
and
Bill
then the other
DeMott's
one
still
is
there.
Booker or Billy Gunn. I think it's Booker though.
Billy Gunn's on the next one, the
Right.
2014 one.
And then he gets popped for juicing in the middle of the series and is just removed unceremoniously. But
But I think you're right. I think Booker T was.
yeah, yeah. So very cool. One of the things I remembered most about that Rumble.
Great show. I love it.
Are you top five now?
Here we go. Top five. Tommy, what's that shirt you got on there?
The Game,
The
Triple H. I knew he
Game,
was going to be on your
Triple H.
list. Hunter should only know what a fan he has this moment in you. I was even putting together my list. I was like, I don't need to worry about this one. Alex will take this one at some point.
Well, I'm going with 2016. Triple H there at the I think it's a fun Rumble, this concept of one versus all, where Roman is got to come in first. He's the world champion, but the Authority are trying to screw him over. So he's got to defend his title there in the Royal Rumble. I thought it gave it a lot of stakes, made it exciting. I love when they change it up a little bit. Like I loved when Brock Lesnar entered the Royal Rumble a couple years ago and said he's going to be number one and he's going to go through everybody. I love just changing up a match that you do every year. So, and the match itself maybe didn't go all that great. Like Roman was out of the ring a long time. Roman was sleeping on the outside.
Yeah. Isn't the crowd even Roman sleeping?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe that wasn't so great. But yeah, he survives all the way to the end. And here we go at number 30. The Authority has thrown everything they can at Roman Reigns. But they, similarly to how we saw Vince McMahon come into the corporate Rumble, Triple H is going to have to do it himself. And he comes out. It made total sense, but like you just weren't thinking about it. The thought of him coming in never entered my mind, but it made total sense. He looks jacked. He looks like $1 million coming out there, and he ends up winning. He ends up winning to set up the WrestleMania match with Roman, which I loved because they were trying really to get Roman over as a babyface for so long, and so much of it was not clicking. But this made him the underdog. This gave him, a setback that he had to come back from. And I thought Triple H would be like the perfect guy to do that and to work with him. And the match itself at WrestleMania, maybe not that great, but I thought,
Snoozer.
yeah, I
It
thought
goes
at
on. I
least
mean, it goes on after about 9 hours of wrestling,
that's
so it's
also
not
tough.
not entirely their fault. But yeah, snoozer, snoozer. But I agree with you that this was awesome, though. Great moment. And I just remember sitting there going like, "Oh man, I wonder if Hunter's going to win the title. Can you imagine?" And there's almost like the crowd is like they're going for anyone but Roman. And then
Yeah.
Hunter's music hits, and they're like, "Oh no, 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 not
We
him."
don't want that.
Yeah, no, please, please. And that's exactly what they were going for. So, and it made sense character-wise too, because it was really like they've been trying everything. The last resort, Hunter's like, screw this, I'm going to do it myself.
Yes, yes.
And to make sure they got it, the booking on this is great because he doesn't eliminate Roman last.
Yeah.
Roman gets tossed right before the end, and the final two is him and Ambrose. So that everyone is like, oh man, please let it be Ambrose. But to make sure you're disappointed and they're not going to get cheers, he dumps Ambrose out last. Brilliant. I mean, just brilliant. And then yeah, they end up having the match at Mania, and I had been at Mania 31, where Roman is just the most hated man you'll ever see in your life. People like, get this guy out of my ring. And then I was there for 32, and it really felt like, well, they had done enough where people didn't hate Roman so much anymore.
I
Like,
agree. Yeah.
I think they had a period. The next year when he goes to Taker, it all changes. But for a period of time there, they did a good enough job getting him over, I thought.
Yeah, I think I like this one a lot. Maybe probably not as beloved by a lot of people just because it is Triple H and people are like, oh God, not Triple H. Yeah, he's just shoving himself at the top. But I again, as we discussed, it made sense in this moment, and it was a great surprise for that reason, and it worked because of that.
Absolutely. And they had a lot of injuries, so they had to pivot. So that was kind of,
Sure.
at the time. So
Yeah, that's how I
very
was
good
looking at
stuff.
it.
All right. I thought there was a chance here we were going to go same top five. And
Hmm.
I think we were close because my number five, back to good old ATL. The one you had mentioned, I had
Okay.
to throw it in there, is the first Edge. It made my top five for a long time. It was in my top three.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
but
Okay.
but obviously the second Edge one I think has surpassed it, so it bumps back a little bit. So for
Well,
me,
this is a long time on our list to not have a duplicate. We usually have
yeah, yeah,
something
really
before
is.
this.
And we
So
were close. I know I told you before we started, I thought we were going to have pretty much the same list. Obviously, Ty Dillinger is going to be on both of our lists. That's a no-brainer.
that's a no-brainer at 10.
10. So yeah, this one here for me, being there live for it, and it's like you're sitting there, and you had mentioned before everyone wanted Shawn Michaels. I'll never forget this moment. My favorite wrestler for a long period of time, for about 7-8 years, was Matt Hardy. And the kid sitting in front of us at the Rumble was like, hey, who do you want to win? And I said, Matt Hardy. Not even a second thought, Matt Hardy, for sure. 100% Matt Hardy. And the kid's like, Matt Hardy? Matt Hardy is terrible. And then Matt comes out and he's tossed within 30 seconds. The
Oh,
kid
brutal.
literally, and I had bought this kid a pair of DX like nightsticks, right?
Yeah.
This little guy turns around to me and just like laughs in my face. But it was an incredible moment to see Edge come back, because I think it was also, you thought he was going to be out a lot longer. But as you're doing the math, you're like, well, we only have Batista left.
Yeah.
So that means number 30 is going to be huge. And they throw you off. They give it to you at 29. And felt like one of the biggest moments to be there live for. And it was the softening of the blow of Shawn Michaels' dramatic elimination of him holding on, trying his best, and eventually falling, at the last moment there. So I love that moment. And maybe I've told you the story, but after the show, we were both very tired. And I said to my friend, hey, why don't we go grab a bite at the diner down the road? And my friend said, I'm exhausted, man. Let's just get room service and head back. I was like, all right. So we left and didn't go to the diner. And then I'm sitting at the business center trying to like read spoilers or if there's any backstage news. The business
Business
center, which
center.
is like
Oh man.
such a prehistoric
A relic
relic
of
of
the
a
past.
time, but it's
Oh man.
almost every hotel still has a business
They do
center,
still have
which
them.
is
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah. And his dad and his son walk in, matching Cena gear. I was like, "We guys at the show?" Like, "Oh man, not only are we at the show, you're not gonna believe this. You know that diner down the road? We just got back from that diner.
Oh,
Look who we met." And they showed me the
oh,
picture of Edge in that diner with
oh,
Dolph Ziggler. And
brutal.
I literally was like, "Oh my god, we were gonna go." And I went down to the gym and I called my buddy and I was like, "You're not gonna believe this." I told him the story. And he's like, "What purpose does this story serve other than to make me feel like crap?" I
That
was
is the
like,
purpose, actually.
"That's the reason, 100%." And the next day, when we're leaving Atlanta, we on the radio they say, "Big news: WrestleMania is coming to Atlanta." And my buddy said, "I'll tell you what, next year we're going to go to WrestleMania. We'll come back to Atlanta. We're going to stick around for Raw after Mania. And after Raw, we're going to go back to that diner. I
Going to the
guarantee you
diner.
someone will be there." And lo and behold, we do that entire plan the next year. And we go to that diner. And who's sitting there? But it must have been his favorite place to eat because Dolph Ziggler is sitting right there with Zack Ryder and Nikki Bella. And the three of them are at the table. And that's when I got my famous photo with Zack Ryder. So all stemmed from that original no go to the diner. But I will say, getting a
It
photo
was
with
meant to
Edge
be.
right after he went to the Rumble would have been really cool.
It would have been pretty cool. It would have been
Yeah,
pretty cool.
but
And you
Ryder
could,
was our guy, so
yeah,
big
yeah.
hand
So
complaints.
it worked out, and,
Yeah,
and it gave you that drive to come back the next year for WrestleMania.
exactly. Yeah, for
You
sure.
had to finish the story.
We had to finish the story, and we got to right then and there.
And for number four, I'm going to pick someone who had to finish their story. I don't know if that's a good transition or not, but I'm not talking Cody Rhodes. But I am going to go to our first woman on the countdown here. I'm going to go to 2019 to the Women's Royal Rumble
Ah,
to the man, Becky Lynch, coming in. Now, she was not originally in this Royal Rumble.
he was not.
She was faced Asuka in the opening contest for the women's championship and lost in a pretty shocking
Yeah,
defeat there because this is when the man push is going on. So you think, yes, this is it. This is her moment. She's winning the title. She's going to Mania to have her big moment there. But it's not meant to be. She loses that. And I remember watching live going like, huh, that is an interesting booking decision. I wonder what they're going to do there. So fast forward to the Rumble, Lana comes out at number 28, and she had actually been injured on the pre-show, injured her ankle in a match where she was with Rusev there.
oh wow.
I
I
went
don't
back
remember
and
it. I
watched
was
this.
there.
Well, do you remember her limping to the ring
I
and
do.
doing like the most pitiful limp you've ever seen in your life?
Yeah, yeah. She was trying to recreate Bret Hart in
Oh
'94.
man, just
It was
taking
rough.
forever coming out there. It's hilarious. And they keep cutting back to her. She's just inching her way along. Uh, and finally, the trainers come out and they stop her. Nia Jax comes out at 29. She walks by Lana and then turns around and just shoves her down and beats her up a little bit. She comes out. Do you remember who number 30 was?
Is it Nia Jax?
Nia Jax was 29.
Oh, sorry.
Carmella is number 30.
Oh, okay. FABO, you got that whole deal.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, the match is over. All 30 people have come out. But out of nowhere, Becky Lynch comes running. She comes running down the aisle and she goes up to, of all people, Fit Finlay,
Oh.
who is sitting there, and she starts arguing with Fit Finlay, like, let me in, let me in. She can't go, let me in. And Fit Finlay's like looking and he like just shakes his head. It's just like, all right, just go for it. So I'm not sure about like the actual rules of a Royal Rumble match. I'm not sure how logistically that works, but apparently you can just, you know, Fit Finlay has the power to let you in. If
Override everything.
if somebody said he's never been an authority figure on TV
Never.
at any
No.
point. So
He's like, oh, go ahead. So now you may as well go in the ring. What am I going to do?
he's fit. He loves to fight. I
Yeah, he
think he
loves to
respects it.
fight.
He's got to let it happen.
Absolutely. Oh,
So
there you go. It's been so
she
long.
comes in and she gets the big dub there and is going, stamps her ticket to WrestleMania to be in the first ever women's main event of a WrestleMania there. The first ever two-night WrestleMania there at WrestleMania 35. It lasted into the
Yeah.
next day.
Oh
Uh,
boy, that was insane.
So just for historical purposes there, for what it meant to her career and to her impact, that's why I picked Becky Lynch there for number four.
It's a great pick. It's one I'm surprised I hadn't thought of because I was there for it,
Oh,
and it
wow.
was an incredible moment. And I'll never forget that weekend. There's always like sometimes you go to a show and someone is the whole weekend about that one person. Like we went to Detroit SummerSlam 2023, and it was all about LA Knight. Everyone, oh
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
right.
all weekend. You went to WrestleMania 34. I'm sure everyone was doing Rusev Day.
Yeah.
Uh, the Royal Rumble 2019 had access that weekend at Superstore. Everyone was about Becky Lynch. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, she's really getting over. And it got to the point where, like, every person you'd ask who's winning the Rumble, everyone would be like, got to be Becky Lynch. And then you go, wait, and it can be Becky Lynch. She already got a match with Asuka. And they've already announced most of the people, like, it isn't going to be Becky Lynch. So then to have her do that and lose to Asuka, which was great because kind of like Rhea Ripley and Io Sky right now,
Mm.
where Rhea has defeated everyone. I mean, she's a sandwich away from Rhea Hogan. I mean, she beats everyone, but she can't beat Io Sky.
Yeah.
Io Sky is her one bugaboo. She can't beat her, and that was the deal with Becky Lynch. So for her to go and lose to Asuka again, but then come out at the end and get the big win, where they had to go that way because she had picked up so much momentum following the broken nose there from Nia Jax. Incredible moment, very very cool, and great to see it on your list.
Yeah, absolutely. Had to
So
get the
for
women in there at some point, you know?
absolutely, yeah. Well, I got mine in there with Becky. I got mine in there with Beth Phoenix.
Oh, yeah, I
Uh,
forgot. You did. Yeah,
and you
you
had
totally
China
did.
too earlier as well.
I did have China. What am I
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah, you got
We've had
yeah.
multiples.
For me,
China is him, as we all know.
China is him, hundred
She is
percent,
him.
100%. So for me, I hate to do this because I was
Oh,
like, I don't want to do more than one entrant and count it as a surprise.
oh,
But for
okay.
this one, I think I got to do it because I'm going back to 1998,
Oh,
Mrs. Foley's baby boy,
yes.
and I'm bringing in Mankind and Dude Love. And I just went back and rewatched this Rumble, and I remembered that, but I didn't remember that like it played into the story of the match where
Mhm.
Chainsaw Charlie gets rid of Cactus Jack, and Mick is just so upset, right? He's angry, so he comes back later on that match as Mankind and goes right after Terry Funk and dumps Terry Funk out of the Rumble, which I totally did not remember that little tidbit, which I thought was so cool. But
Yeah.
then he comes back as Dude Love, and when he comes back as Dude Love, he lasts until the final four.
Yeah.
So I think it was like one of the most brilliant ways to really get over the three faces of Foley. And that was that way for a longer, like I said, most of Mick's career. He had, once he introduced Dude Love and Cactus Jack in 1997, he was kind of utilizing all those characters, but to see them all in one match and him come out and he comes out as Dude Love looking like, man, I'm dead road at this point. Like I am on my last legs here, but I gotta try. And he always tells the story. Almost every comedy show I've seen, he usually tells the same stories over and over, but he's always great. And one of them was he tells his kids, I'm the only one who's ever wrestled in the Royal Rumble 3 times. And the kids go, well, then you're also lost all three of those times.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
but it's great. I think it's so cool, and it kind of brings me back to the Attitude Era. So I had to have it on my list.
That is probably the one that was the first one out for me of my list. It's right there. I had it on the edge. It is so memorable and iconic. I probably should have put it on there, but I guess my reasoning was it didn't go anywhere
Yeah,
from there. And it didn't have the impact some of these other ones did. But of course, it does because you remember it all these years later. And it's one of those things where it's like, how do you not think of how do we never think of that before? It's so brilliant. You
right.
got to have that happen. I don't know if it was a Pat Patterson, if it was a Mick Foley idea, but whoever it was, just bravo for coming up
Yeah,
with that because it makes total sense. You got to do it. It's like having Ty Dillinger at 10. Like, come on,
yeah,
you got to do it. It's so
yeah.
perfect. You got to do it.
I think it would have been great if he won. Obviously, it wasn't going to
Sure.
factor into the plans, but it would have been great if, like, the last time they had him win and then said, "Hey,
Yeah.
hold on, wait a minute, maybe he has to put it on the line." But no, awesome stuff, and it's probably the thing people remember most from '98's Rumble is the Three Faces of Holy.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I would agree with that. So that
All right,
brings
so
us to the
we're getting
top
down to the
three.
top three.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna be real surprised if we don't have the same top three here. It's just gonna come down to order.
Yeah,
Um, so I will say my number three is the only person who's on my list twice, and that's Edge from 2020 there. And only reason I didn't do it any higher is because if I do feel like it was spoiled a little bit. There was, so much talk about it, and I feel like there were pictures posted online that day or that weekend. So there was, you were waiting for it to happen. And if they had been able to keep it completely under wraps, man, it'd be hard to not make it number one. But it was still incredible. It was something you didn't believe was going to happen until it actually happened. Because, as you said, we were there for his last match together
yeah,
before we knew each other at WrestleMania 27, and seeing him retire in 2011, it was heartbreaking. It was devastating, and you never thought it would happen. You really thought he
yeah.
was done. The injuries were just too big to overcome, and miraculously, 9 years later, there he comes and puts on an incredible performance there. I believe he goes to the end. Is the last guy eliminated there on that night and kickstarts this comeback run that's still going. It's over in AEW now, but he had an incredible run in WWE. Had a lot of awesome matches and moments after this.
Let me ask, would you have put him over in that Rumble?
Boy, you want to, right?
Right.
Like, I think it was Drew's time,
It was.
and having Drew win was the right choice. But gosh, I don't know. You could have pulled an audible, and nobody would have been upset either.
Yeah, I think it's tough. It's one of those things where I think if you were to have it come down and it be a situation where, and I'll just say, I have it right here at number three as well.
Okay, here
So
we
I
go.
don't know if we're going to be in lockstep the whole way, but
I feel like
I
we are.
I was I was at the first Yep, I Like Wrestling party, the much better one because it was at a smaller one. Not too many people knew about it. What happened was at the same venue for that year's WrestleMania. I guess it was, I don't know which WrestleMania it was. It's the one where Kofi wins the title, and they show that great clip of Shad Gaspard and MVP kind of getting excited
Yeah.
and being like, it was at that same exact venue and that same party.
Oh,
And I
wow.
was there for Edge, but I wasn't at that party.
Yeah.
I was there for the Royal Rumble. My buddy Katama came
Got it.
in from California. Was like, I'd love to see the Rumble with you. And I was thinking like, I appreciated it very much, but because he came in from California to New York, but my thought was like, you're going to travel to see the Rumble. As much as I appreciate that he appreciates my company, why not just go to the Rumble if that was the case? But he wanted to see it with me, wanted me to come to this
Hey,
party,
there you go.
and I'll never forget that there was like some bubbling underneath the surface. I didn't know too much about it. Like I remember Beth Phoenix came out at the Rumble for the women that year, and Ari turns to me and goes, "I wonder if Edge is coming out in the men's." I was like, "He can't wrestle again. Like he's hurt. He can't wrestle again." And that was kind of the end. That was the only thing that really had come up that day. But it was also the day Kobe Bryant died. And I remember like the mood
Oh,
was really
wow.
sad that day. Like there was like this overwhelming bit of sadness, like kind of overseeing the rest of the Rumble. Even
Yeah.
if you watch that behind the scenes WWE did, the wrestlers are sad too, thinking about it.
I
Um,
forgot about that. Yeah.
and then Edge comes out, and it was like this big release. Like I'll remember the whole party just jumping up and down, ran, hugged each other. We were so excited. And yeah, he came. And you know what it is? It isn't even only that he comes out, but that he comes out and he's emotional as can be. Like he's overcome with emotion. Uh, and I was totally back on. Like I wanted. It's really hard for me that Edge's run right after this leads to COVID, because I
Yes.
really think that like, man, they had a great story there with him and Randy Orton.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
And if they got an opportunity to do it in front of fans, I think it would have been remembered that much more. But it wasn't meant to be, but it was just such an incredible moment. And you know his journey. Like, you know that this is a guy
Exactly.
who grew up a huge fan, lived his dream, and then he got cut short. And that was really tough. And now here he was all these years later coming back. And I remember the Edge and Christian show where he talks about being on the bike with Sheamus. And flips over and he's like, yeah. And then Sheamus was asking if I was okay. He was so worried. And I looked up, I was like, I'm totally fine. Like, it was kind of cool. I was totally fine. And I remember immediately thinking, hey, if he's totally fine from that, why can't he wrestle?
Yeah.
And then there he is, years later, showing up to the Rumble. And I remember he did everything he could to keep it under wraps. Like, he was like, it's not me, it's not happening, no chance. Go find a hobby or something like that. Um, but it was him. And then they missed this first spear. They like randomly
Oh,
go on
right.
to something else. But yeah, I do think that it almost took a little away from Drew's win, Edge going out so close to the end, because
Yeah, I
people were like
agree.
kind of sad from that. And I think you could get it given the win to Edge and then had Drew win Elimination Chamber and get that. But I think him winning the Rumble was big for him. So I think either way it could have worked.
I think you could have Edge get eliminated a little earlier. Have him
That's the call.
maybe come out a little earlier, get eliminated a little earlier, not be there at the end to give Drew a little bit space. Um, yeah, there's ways around it, but ultimately, yeah, it was Drew's time, and you were hoping to have Drew and Brock in front of the crowds at WrestleMania, but of course everything gets messed up with that, and it's a shame Edge's run, and then his win the next year again is in the Thunderdome and everything. So
Yeah.
it's too bad, but for that one night, it really was perfect, and you were so hyped for what could possibly come next.
Yeah, it's like, are we gonna have Edge back now? Like, you didn't know. Was
Yeah.
that just a one last say goodbye, or was he now 100% back? So it was very, very cool for sure.
Well, why don't you do your number two? So,
Okay.
because I feel like I'll be shocked if it's not the same as mine.
For my number two, it is Royal Rumble 2016 and the debut of the phenomenal AJ Styles.
That's right.
Is that
It's
yours
got to
as
be.
well?
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah, yeah. It was incredible moment. This one I didn't have a clue. And I mean, and they do a good job because they don't. People say they missed this shot. I think the way they shot it was perfect.
I agree.
Yeah, you had it on Roman's face, and he's like, "Who is that? Who is?" And it's so early. There's no one else in the ring.
He's
It's the
number three.
start. He's number three. Yeah, is he really number three? Wow, he was
Yeah,
early.
it's Rusev is two, and Roman
Yep.
tosses him early.
Dropped out like the jobber he is, out of there within 90 seconds. Oh my lord. Um, and uh and then yeah, that music hits and Roman's
And no
like,
one knows what that music is. We've
no one
never
knows
heard
what it
that
is.
music before.
But it's in Orlando, which is AJ Styles country. It was in Orlando, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah. AJ Styles country. And I remember trying to go to my main man Steve and saying, dude, I know you don't watch wrestling, but the Rumble is in Orlando. We should go to the Rumble. And he was like, I don't really like I don't really watch wrestling, so it wasn't worth it for him. But
So
man,
he
to be
didn't
there,
watch wrestling back then?
he took a long, long, long
Oh,
hiatus.
okay.
He only
Okay.
started coming back really for AEW, and then he'd watch a
Oh,
little
wow.
WWE because he became obsessed again. And when he became WWE, that's like right in the Bloodline era, and he was
Yeah.
like all about like that was much more entertaining than AEW was. So he became much more into WWE. Um, but that I would thought would have been so cool to be there for that,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
and the crowd sees the phenomenal before we do at home. So you just hear the crowd erupt. And for years, it was always like that. I feel like it was always like, oh, we should be good. Kazuchika Okada, or maybe Tanahashi, or maybe to be. And I think like even when they'd ask the wrestlers, like even one year, I think Seth Rollins like, be cool, pretty cool if it was Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
And so you'd always get that. And this year, you finally got AJ Styles, and it was unbelievable.
It was, and you wanted it to happen, but you never thought it would. You always thought he was too small. He would never fit in with WWE. But really, those last few years in TNA, and then when he went into Japan and was doing all the Bullet Club stuff, he really established himself and showed how he could carry himself as a top guy, as a main eventer, outside of the bubble of TNA. So he really established himself, like I said, and he establishes himself in this Rumble. Like he
Yeah.
holds his own. He's not like Booker T coming in and getting eliminated in 90 seconds. He is in there for a good long run. So you see, okay, they're going to take AJ Styles seriously. He means business. This isn't just like a quick run. He's going to be brought in as a top guy, and he is. I mean,
Yeah.
to this day. He is a top guy, and hopefully, we're not seeing the very end of his run. I know the rumors and speculation are going that this could be his final moments here in the world of professional wrestling. I hope not. I hope there's still a little life left in him because he's still got it. You know, he can still
Oh yeah.
go. You know, as long as he wants to. But yeah, this put him on the map, and I think that's why not just the moment itself, but the fact that he went on to have this Hall of Fame level career just in WWE. Like, you know, you could take out everything he did in wrestling before WWE, and he would still have a Hall of Fame worthy career. That's how big of an impact he made over the past decade in WWE, which started right here.
Yeah, and you made such a good point too. When I met him in TNA, I remember I went to a TNA house show, and afterwards they did a deal where you can go in the ring and take a
Yes,
photo with AJ
did the same thing.
Styles.
Yeah,
Did you really? Oh
yeah,
wow, yeah. And I took one. I remember I went in there and I was like, man, I'm towering over this guy. Right? Like
ah,
it felt like I was there. When I met Rey Mysterio and I kind of bent in for the photo, like a
ah.
kid, 15 years old for the photo with
Got
Ray.
down on your
I
knees, like, hey,
felt like,
buddy.
hey, yeah, like and I was like, man, that sucks because he's so good. If he ever got to
Oh yeah,
WWE, the talent would win out, but I don't ever think he'll get the chance. And then I remember he takes over the Bullet Club the day Finn leaves to go to NXT. And I remember hearing that and going, I don't know if AJ's the right fit for that. Like, I don't know if he's never been a heel. Like, he's like the most jolly, happy-go-lucky babyface you'll ever see. You can't make AJ Styles a heel. And then about like 6 months later, I saw the photos of AJ as the Bullet Club, and I was like, oh man, like it's
yeah,
catching on. Like he looks badass. Like if he ever gets a chance to go to WWE, he's gonna kill it. And then he did. And I mean, not only did he go, but he's champion within the first year of his run there.
right.
I mean, like
Yes,
he just like he has that brief period of time where he does the Y2 AJ stuff. And I remember it was like everyone was like, he loses to Jericho at Mania. And everyone was all upset, like they're burying him. And then like the next night he wins and gets the number one contender, has the great match with Roman, then has the incredible feud with Cena. Before long, they had no choice. He was your champ. It was pretty cool.
that's right. Yeah, he earned it. He established himself. He proved himself. He took the ball and ran with it. You know,
Yeah,
that's what you're supposed to do there.
very cool. Yeah, made the most of his Rumble's entrance for sure.
Absolutely. And another guy who did, I think, is our consensus number one here. You know, it's one that's talked about every countdown, every list you see. 2001, Haku coming back from WCW as he was the hardcore champion in WCW, and he jumped over there at
Was
the
he the
time.
champ when he
He
came?
was the champ when he came over.
Wow,
So, I mean, you
so
never seen
rad.
anything like that before.
Yeah,
So, I think that's obviously my number one. What about you?
my number one. I'm gonna go a little outside the box too. Greatest Royal Rumble.
Oh,
18 years after his passing,
yeah,
Yokozuna as the
that
surprise.
was
I
unbelievable.
couldn't believe it of all people. Um, but no, of course we have I think we have the consensus number one.
Yeah.
I'll let you start about this one because I've talked about it a few times on the channel. So what were your thoughts on this one?
Well, I mean, you got the great story about it. So yeah, you'll have to share that again. But yeah, I was actually not watching live at the time. So this was 2008, John Cena, of course, in Madison Square Garden, and I was still in my post Chris Benoit, you know, breakup with WWE at the time. So I was not watching anything. I would still follow stuff, you know, I would still read the results of the shows and keep up with things, but I really had not watched any wrestling since you know, Benoit's passing. But I remember, you know, I knew Cena had been hurt and I knew he was not supposed to be back that fast. And so I think I saw a clip of it on YouTube or on, you know, social media or something and thought, wow, that's an electric moment right there. And when I did start to get the bug, when I did start getting pulled back into wrestling later on in summer of 2008, that's one of the first things I did was go to Blockbuster in the dying days of Blockbuster, and I rented Royal Rumble 2008. So that was the first, you know, full
Oh
show that I
wow.
wanted to go back and see. And I remember even watching it 6 months later, it was still such an awesome, incredible moment. And everything about it, of it, the whole production of it, the guys in the ring selling it, Cena coming back and selling it, the crowd's reaction to it. It's so perfect. It is so much Yeah, it's everything you want this Royal Rumble surprise to be.
It really was. It was incredible. I never in a million years thought of him at the time. And
No one did.
I'll take you through my day quickly that day. It was they were doing WrestleMania Access in New York City leading up to the Rumble all weekend long. That year they did Access throughout the whole year, like before WrestleMania. So we didn't have Rumble tickets, sold out as can possibly be. Main man Steve Lum the Death called me up to tell me some great news. He got Rumble tickets. That was just great. He got Rumble tickets. Not, hey, do you want to go to the Rumble? He got his own Rumble tickets and left me out in the cold like a homeless cat.
Again,
And
why did you call to share that information?
waiting on the great news, buddy. Waiting on the great news. And so I had to go that weekend. My buddy Matt was there with his now, I assume his wife, or he's still with her, Romina. And they spent the entire weekend at Access. I couldn't go because I had like work, I had different things, but they were there the whole weekend, meeting every jabron that was signing. And on the Royal Rumble Sunday that morning, Ric Flair was signing. So it was a line all throughout South Street Seaport, New York City to meet Ric Flair. And I met him and he blew me off, right? He just did the whole, I think like he's chatting with, I'm here and he's just like, yeah, no, what's going on? Yeah, good to, yeah. I just like, they couldn't have cared less. Totally big league to me. And then the
Did he
second
say,
group,
did he say, why would you ever want to get married? Worst decision you could ever.
Barf, let me tell you, you don't want to get married. And then there was a wrestling impressions contest to win tickets to the Royal Rumble, and I competed in it, and I beat everyone until one guy won at the end. It is picture perfect Joey Styles. I couldn't make it. Afterwards, met the Highlanders, the sweetest guys you'll ever meet. And they encouraged us. I know you guys, I said to him, man, I really wanted to win that contest. So we don't have tickets for tonight. I was trying to hope he'd pull a couple out. Like he had, like I had Highlander Robbie had maybe an extra pair. No, it wasn't to be, but he said, go down to the venue. We always put tickets on sale at the venue day of, and usually the seats are pretty good because it's after production is set up. Um, so we went down and got tickets at the last minute. And it's funny because we actually were not too far away. And I remember Steve passed us when we were getting tickets, like kind of trying to help. We got the tickets. He's like, you guys hopefully you'll get tickets. It'd be great if you can go. And I had said to him, who do you think's going to win the Rumble? And he's like, I don't care because one thing I know is it's not going to be John Cena. And I said, yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's definitely not going to be Cena. And the big rumor at the time was that the Big Show had re-signed with WWE
Oof,
and was coming back for a big WrestleMania match, which is true.
he
He
did.
shows up the next month and he fights Floyd Mayweather at WrestleMania.
Yes, he did.
But we're coming down to 30 and we have no idea who it is. And so me and Matt, we're smart fans. We know everything, right? So we look at each other, we're like, Big Show, 100%. Big
Yeah.
Show. Big Show is coming. And we have the hand ready to go because we're ready to well. I don't know why we were so excited about Big Show's return, but we were ready to hit the note. And it's great because the music doesn't hit right away. 30 hits, the buzzer goes off, and there's like a second or two before Cena's music hits. And when that music hit, like every time I tell the story, I got the rock goosebumps. It was incredible, and I'll never forget looking back at Steve, and he's immediate. Like everyone in the whole place was so excited. I look back at Steve, he's just
Devastated.
devastated. Like he
Devastated.
was because he knew at that moment he's not coming back to lose. He's not going to get tossed.
Nope.
So but the way he does it is also great because he comes out and he's got his head down with the hat above, and he takes a second because then you're thinking, oh wait, maybe it's a bait and switch and it's somebody else or something like that. But then he pulls his head up and he's like, "Yeah, you damn right, I'm back. Let's go!" And everyone it's like you get the huge pop with his music, then you get the second pop when he picks his head up, and he rips the shirt off with one hand, like the coolest guy you'll ever see. And I think he tells Triple H like it's go time, and Triple H is like, "No, no, 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 no!" And obviously he then wins, but it is the bet is a huge surprise. I think it almost actually took away a little bit of Edge's moment from 2 years later because at that point you started to
Mm,
think, oh, it's going to have to be somebody huge at the end.
hmm
And now when like number 30, and of course, like I didn't include this one, but I almost did 2017, number 30, where you're sitting there and you're going, oh man, it's going to be Samoa Joe. He's going to show up. He's going to win the Rumble and go on to WrestleMania, his debut from NXT. And gets down 10-9-8-7. There's a little bit of a pause, and Roman's music hits. And it's Roman Reigns who lost the title match earlier. And there's like the ultimate troll moment. But I
Yep.
feel like all of that, and that's really like there were surprises that happened prior. I mentioned the three phases of Foley, but I really feel like this moment with Cena was the anything could happen at the Royal Rumble. You
Yes.
throw your playbook out the window, it could be anybody.
And not only that, I feel like it's also got to be top two or three moments in Cena's career, period. Like this, the GOAT, this guy who just retired, who went on this incredible run. This is one of the main iconic moments of his career. And I think it helped really cement him as a top guy in people's minds. Like he had been champion many times before this. He had been the guy for a few years, but people were still sick of him. People,
Right.
main man Steve, top example right there. So many people felt like that. But seeing him come back in that moment, and as a fan, you're thinking, well, I may not like this guy, but damn, I respect him
Yeah.
because he
Yeah.
did not have to do that. He did not have to work so hard. He did not have to put in that time and effort to, overcome the odds and come back 4 months sooner than he should have. Dude, this guy is legit. This guy is for real. Even if I boo him, I still kind of love this guy because I love how much passion he has for pro wrestling, that he would go out and do that. And that's the kind of guy John Cena is that made him who he is in this moment.
Yeah. I think it's I always say it's the night Madison Square Garden forgot they hated John Cena.
Absolutely.
But I do think it was also, you're right. I think it's the night that people gained a lot of respect for Cena. And
Yeah.
I almost feel like booing him became part of the show. Like after the show, he'd always do the thank you for being here, get home safe speech. And it felt like everyone was like, all right, John, you're all right, bud. Like, thanks to you. Thanks for all you do. You're great. Like, even though we boo you, we really do respect you because you love this so much. Like, you were
Yeah.
not going to let WrestleMania go without getting back. And this past year, I went to John Cena's last Madison Square Garden show. And I thought a lot about that moment. Like when
Oh
Cena
yeah,
came out, like
for
that,
sure.
he starts that show and the place just erupts with like this immense, insane cheer. And people are literally like hugging each other. Like,
Mm.
wow, we are at something super special. Um, and it reminded me of me and Matt and Romina like hugging because I didn't even mention this part, but we get to the front and the tickets are too expensive and I didn't have enough money. So I had to go home. And Matt's like, I can't get them, man. I don't have enough. And so I had to go back home. I had to go through Penn Station to go back on the train, call my family to order the show, past Spirit Squad Mikey on the way. And he's like, "You not going to the show?" I was like, "Couldn't get tickets." And he's like, it sucks, man. It's like, "Thanks, Spirit Squad Mikey. You're right. It does suck." And called my parents. They ordered the show. And
You
then
should have been
Matt
like, Mikey, what, you not going to the show?
didn't look like he was. I think he was waiting for the train. I don't think he was going to the show. And
Oh,
Matt
poor
calls me
Mikey.
back and says his girlfriend bought me the third ticket. And so
Unbelievable.
I ran right back through Penn Station, past
True
Fair
friend.
Spot Mikey, and told him, I'm going to the show. And he was like, great, man, have a great show. And then went to the bar and just drowned his sorrows right after I left. But I never called my parents to tell them don't order it. So they all watched the show too, my whole family. And like I came back, they were like, oh man, like what a moment to be there for. And it was incredible. And for me, I think at that moment, every Rumble
They
thereafter.
thought you were dead. You never
Yeah.
called him back. Where the hell's Tommy?
Yeah, yeah, because I did. I don't remember they messaged like, "Where are you?" I was like, "I got in. Romina got me tickets." They were like, "Great. Well, we'll watch the show. Then you better give me that $50 when you get back too." Uh, but it was incredible. And I think that moment, being there, that being my first Rumble, and just being so amped for everything the whole night, and then it culminates at this incredible moment. I think at that moment it made me want to go to every single Rumble thereafter.
How could
Um,
you not?
yeah. And in many ways, it reminds me, and I know people will turn this off, never watch another video I do after this comment. It reminds me of Jey Uso kicking John Cena at the end of last year's Royal Rumble. Like, such an incredibly shocking moment
Yeah.
that I did not expect at all. When that happened, I was like, get out of town. They're going to he's actually going to be in the main event. And then he actually was first match, but like that gives you the idea that like anything could happen at the Rumble. Like there's going to be something you can sink your teeth into every time.
And that's why we love it. That's why it's the best pay-per-view of the year. That's why we're excited for it. And we're gonna watch it and be excited for it even when it's in Saudi Arabia in the middle of the afternoon.
Absolutely. Even if they bring back Yoko one more time to come through. But as we wrap up, and I've had a great time going through the list, is there any that spring to your mind as great? And I will say this, because I thought this is where you were going earlier.
Yeah,
My number two, and it doesn't really count because it's surprise entrance of the Royal Rumble. But if it was Royal Rumble surprises, my number two would have been Ronda Rousey at Royal Rumble 2000,
sure. Yeah, sure.
which is another one we were at. My wife's like hero at the time, and I remember there was like a little bit of like, oh, number 30. Everyone was kind of like, oh crap, this is the moment. And then Trish's music hits. And she got like a polite applause, but it was like, oh man, we really thought it was going to be Ronda Rousey. And then so it wasn't. And then she shows up at the end and comes out and points to the WrestleMania sign forever and a day. But I remember my wife like ran to the restroom, and then my brother-in-law and I ran after her, like, you got to come back. And she came running back, like, holy crap, lost her mind over it. So that there, even though Ronda's run was not so great toward the end, and certainly the second Rumble surprise for her was not so great, that night it felt like the biggest news ever.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been upset if you picked that, even though it wasn't an actual entrant in the Rumble, because it was a shocking moment and yeah, a hugely important moment in the history of the women's division as well. Um,
Absolutely.
some other ones I thought about was we talked about Mick Foley in '98, Mick Foley in 2004 too.
Ah, good one.
Yeah, after he Randy Orton had punted him down the stairs there around Christmas time, and um, but he comes running out in the Rumble and eliminates Orton. He's only in it for like 30 seconds because he just comes
Yeah.
in, attacks Orton, and eliminates both of them. Double clothesline over the top rope. But it is a thrilling moment to this feud that's been going on with Orton for a long time and sets up their great rivalry match at WrestleMania and then in a Backlash, the big hardcore match that they would go on to have. I
That's
think,
what JR says. And Mick Foley is not a coward. Because Taz made him
yes,
say before the match, but Mick Foley didn't come. Well, it pains me to say it, but you're right. A is coward.
yep.
And then he shows up and he has this big
Ah,
emotional, he is not a coward.
great
Uh,
call by
yeah,
JR. Yeah.
for sure. It's not an entrant, but that same match, Undertaker's music showing
Yeah.
the lights going out for Taker. Pretty incredible moment there to let people know, oh, it's
Very fun
coming.
moment.
He's coming
Yep.
back for sure.
Very fun moment. I would say also RVD in 2009. I think,
Oh yeah, like out of nowhere.
yeah, that was out of nowhere. That makes a lot of people's lists, and it was a great moment. Um, Bubba Ray Dudley in 2015. Like
Yes.
I hate to say it, I'm not a huge fan of the guy, but that one was also shocking. And man, if he had come in as Bully Ray and like
Yes.
gone on that singles run as Bully Ray, could have been even better. But it was fun to see him, and he did. That's one of the best nostalgia pops I've heard in the Rumble. So that was a good moment.
Yeah, for sure. One I love from way back, 2001, the Honky Tonk Man.
Oh, so good.
This one was close on my list. When he comes out, because he doesn't really come out. He comes out full blown. I got my long sideburns, and he's like going hardcore into this song, super cheesy with it. And then turns to Kane, and he's even trying to get Kane to sing along with him. And Kane just like does the confused look, and then he continues to sing, turns around, and Kane just obliterates the guitar
Oh
over his
man,
head. I think that's a great one for sure.
that's a good one. As other kind of comedy nostalgia. I mean, from 2008, you got Piper and Jimmy Snuka in
Yeah,
there. You could
yeah,
have done that as a combined entrant, but they get to have a little face off there in Madison Square Garden all these years later. That was very cool, very special moment for the two of them.
yeah, yeah. I also like 2000. I think it was 24 when Naomi kicks off the Royal
That was my
Rumble.
next one. Yep.
Yeah, and
That's
everybody like
also that was right at the cusp
that
for me.
was yeah because not only does she lasts a long time,
Yeah,
and it leads to her most successful run. I think. I mean, she had a great run in 2017, but I think this run's been even better. And
absolutely. It's the best she's
yeah,
ever been. Yeah.
yeah, and so her coming back and getting and not only did
Yeah.
she come back, but The crowd is so happy to see her. She's so emotional with the comeback too. And the moment where Jordynne Grace comes out and they like have this big embrace and big hug, like very, very cool, I thought.
Yeah, that was a great start to that Rumble. Like two surprises right there at the
Yeah,
beginning. Like, wow, holy crap, we're in for a big one here.
for
Um,
sure.
and how did Shane McMahon not make your list from
Oh, so a lot of people say that's the worst Rumble. It's so funny because that entire show we thought was fantastic because you have
uh
Ronda show up, win the Rumble. We're pumped. You have Bad Bunny as a surprise entrant, who my wife loves. And then Shane is not only a surprise entrant, but he's not supposed to show up when he does. And he makes it to like final four or so. Like, I started going, is Shane going to win? I think Bad Bunny and Shane are both there in the end. Like,
yeah, they're
final
both in
couple
the final
folks
four.
there. Yeah, final four. Like, what kind of. And then Brock is the winner. He shows up and wins it in the end. I still say, if the plan for that Rumble was to have, and there are a couple people who do say the plan was that Matt Riddle was going to win that Rumble,
Yeah,
would have been insane. Like,
yeah.
completely bonk. I still don't think that was ever really the plan, but
I think
if
Matt
it.
Riddle's the only one who says that was the plan for Matt Riddle to win that Royal Rumble. But
Right. Like Vince went, yeah, you're gonna win, Matt. Sure. And he took it as like
we got big
for
plans
real.
for you, kid. Big
You're right.
plans.
I'll say this one. This one was on my short list. Almost called it. I ended up taking it out because when the entrant happened, I was certainly not pumped. But last year, I show Speed being in the men's rumble,
It
and
was
while I
fun.
was not too familiar with him, I think his part in that rumble gets Braun Breaker to the point where he is. This is when what makes people start to go, oh wow, this guy's insane because he about kills I Show Speed with that spear. I think it's even more impactful than the spear he has on Roman a couple minutes after
Hmm.
that. Like it is a big deal, and really, I thought that was a really good one. Yeah, I think that was probably I think that one or Alexa Bliss were probably the two from last year.
Yeah, no, it was very fun. No, not Nikki Bella.
No, no, no. Not Nikki Bella. And it was funny because Nikki Bella was number 30, and I remember being like, "Oh man, that really sucks." But we have Travis, who we love dearly, who's so positive about everything. I was so excited. I was like, "Oh man, I can't be a party pooper now and be like this sucks." But so I think like them being excited for it, I think made me excited for it too.
And she's hung around.
Yeah, I
She's
do think
gone
that's
that.
added to it as well.
Yeah. So yeah, respect for that. Um, who is on your short list for who do you think is going to be a surprise? Who would you want to see as a surprise here in 2026?
That's a great question. I mean, I do think Bianca Belair is going to be a surprise and win it.
I think that was a great pick.
I think
Yeah.
that's going to be. I think that would be awesome. Certainly miss Bianca. It's been a long time for her. Um, I still think Seth Rollins has like. It's tough because I don't know if he's going to be in there because I don't see him going after either Punk or Drew or whoever Drew loses the title to. Like, if Braun Breaker won the title, I think Seth would have been back and won the Rumble. But if not, I think that's his match at Mania if he comes back. I think so. I don't know. That's a good question. I think it'd be cool to see someone from like NXT get the call to make a thing. Like I was even thinking, one of my favorite NXT entrants ever in a Rumble was Keith Lee when he showed up to take
Oh,
on
yeah.
Brock Lesnar, and Brock
Yeah.
was like, "Whoa, who's this big guy?" Like it was really cool. So it'd be cool to see someone from NXT get like a spotlight there, like be like an Ethan Page or something like that. I think
I do
would be a
think
fun one.
Ethan Page has got to be on a lot of people's radar. I think we'll definitely get some AAA involvement in this
Oh, good
Rumble.
call. Yeah.
We got to see Omos in there. That's the AAA name. Everybody is dying to see. Everybody gonna put their O face on for a big
Our
Omos. Um, no,
our
but
resident Homo sapien over here.
I'll put money down that Mr. Iguana is going to be in the Royal Rumble
Oh yeah,
this
for
year. It,
sure.
it has to happen. I'll be devastated if it doesn't happen.
And because
Um,
it's Saudi, one thing that I think gets me excited about Saudi a little bit is they throw the money at everyone. There's
it's true.
no one too expensive. Wouldn't get too many people too pumped, but I wouldn't be shocked to see Jake Paul, everyday bro, show up in the
Oh,
Rumble there for the
interesting.
men. Maybe and I don't think he'll do so great, but I could totally see him running down there
Wow.
doing something with Logan because I think they'll throw money at anybody to make an appearance.
Sure. I
So
see that.
I could see someone Jake Paul, or I don't know. I'm trying to think of the legends, but I feel like a lot of those legends at this point are
Well,
considerably older.
I mean, Chris Jericho's going to be
Oh, that's a
on the
big
tip
one.
of
Yeah, yeah.
everybody's tongue. We got to mention him. Wouldn't be shocked to see him. As far as the women, I'm hoping we see somebody we haven't seen so much of. So I'm really hoping to see like Kelly Kelly or Molly Holly because we just haven't seen them in a Royal Rumble
We haven't seen
before.
Michelle McCool would be
But
so out of left field. Like, I really thought, I will say, oh, I've seen Michelle McCool enough, but the year when she was in the crowd and
that was
waved,
great. That
and
was
then they
fun.
went back to her and she came in, it was like, me?
Yeah,
I thought they should have kept that going every year. Like her being there and ready to run in the ring. I thought that was a really cool one. I like the year where they had Melina show up as one of
that
the
was good.
entrants. That was the only time she was
We got a
like
good showing.
big time overwhelmed by the response. So I think that would be a fun one. I'm trying to think if there's someone that we haven't seen too much of. I mean, it would be cool. Like even though I didn't love this person, seeing Eve Torres randomly there would be a cool one.
Literally, that's the one I wrote down. I was
Did
trying
you?
to think of a diva or a woman from like the past 15, 20 years we haven't seen it, and she was the only one I could think of. And yeah, I would be excited to see her again.
I always hold out hope that we'll get Big E to have one more moment,
Oh man.
at least get a chance. I don't know if he'll ever do it, but even if he came out and did like one thing just to get that moment, I think would be cool.
I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, well, buddy, don't get your hopes up. But half of what we talked about here, guys like
Yeah,
Edge and Christian, we all said, we all 100% positive those guys would never be able to do it again. So here's holding out hope that Big E
yeah,
will get to have one more moment. He deserves it.
for sure. I really thought when the New Day turned on him, I was like, he's coming back at the Rumble. He's going to eliminate both of them.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah, but then it didn't happen. So then I was like, maybe it's just not in the cards. Maybe it's not meant to be. I think we'll probably see like Jelly Roll. I can certainly see him in there. I'm
Sure.
not saying I know. That's my response to it. Fine, cool.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
guess.
why not?
I mean, very inspiring story on WWE Unreal. I feel like kind of a meanie for saying, I don't need to see him in the ring again, but I'm probably okay if I don't
We're
see
good.
Jelly Roll in the ring again.
We're good.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I do think that is the one cool thing about it being in Saudi Arabia is it could be anyone because I think they're going to open up that checkbook and maybe decide they really want someone and offer a ton of money and here comes you know Oscar De La Hoya or someone who does not belong in the Rumble at all. So I think it'd be a lot of fun for sure.
Is that Bradley Cooper?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
exactly. Yeah, I could definitely see like some random people showing up there and maybe they'll bring back Mansoor who was like
Oh
remember
yeah.
Mansoor, he got a win
Of
in Saudi
course.
Arabia every one of those
Every
shows
year.
for the first couple years.
He's waiting
Uh,
by the phone.
he's ready. He's in his gear on his trampoline like Dennis, what is this? Dennis
Dennis
Stamp.
Stamp.
Yeah, Dennis Stamp. So we'll see, but I mean, I'm sure it's going to be probably one more for the road. But I'm sure it's going to be a fun one. And this has been a lot of fun, Alex. I appreciate you coming back, keeping the tradition alive. We've tossed around some other fun ideas that hopefully we'll be able to get into here for the year. But why don't you tell everybody where they can find you and the Talking Taker YouTube channel and podcast?
Yeah, if you don't know by now, it's going to be Talking Taker here on YouTube as well as on all your favorite podcast devices. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. We're Talking Taker over there. But yeah, we have, in our archives, you can listen to our coverage of every Royal Rumble that The Undertaker was ever a part of. We did watch alongs for every Royal Rumble there, Travis and
Yeah.
I. Those are some very, very fun episodes. We don't do any prep for them. We just go in and riff on the Rumbles. Those are some of our best ones. But man, even longer. We've been doing this second phase of Talking Taker for over 5 years now. We just have
Oh,
covering different moments, diving deep, revisiting matches, doing these drafts, doing top 10 lists, going into The Undertaker in the territories and in WCW and things like that. And for our February episode coming out February 1st, we're going to be digging into the WWE Vault channel. So we
Oh,
haven't really
awesome.
covered any of the footage they've released on the Vault, but there's a ton of Undertaker live event matches
Yeah.
and dark matches and things like that. So we're going to cover some of that here. Actually, a match you were at in
Right.
1996 at Madison Square Garden with The Undertaker and Bret Hart against Shawn Michaels and Diesel. Pretty
Incredible.
incredible matchup there. And so you shared a story that I'll be discussing on that podcast. So you'll have to tune in to hear Tommy's memories from being there live for that. But very, very fun. If you're a fan of the Watch Along Wrestling channel, we've had Tommy on the show many times, so you can check out those episodes. And I always appreciate you having me on, Tommy. I always appreciate our friendship that we've developed here over the past few years, and excited to do more. We got to get me, you, and Randy to do some more of those revisits of some of those
Yeah, we
shows
were about
as
halfway
well.
through our 2002, so we gotta
Yeah, we got to
finish the
pick it back
journey.
up.
This finish
That's
the
right.
journey, and I'll give another shout out too. Our good friend Steven Zeman has relaunched his podcast,
That's right.
the rebranded Brothers of Collecting podcast.
Yes.
So check him out. He was also on Talking Taker recently, doing the annual Undertaker merch show, which I always enjoy with him and Randy. So very cool stuff, and certainly. I hope everyone enjoys the Royal Rumble and keep it locked here. I'll be having the reactions this year. Be randomly in the middle of the day, me on the couch. But hey, I'm going to bring the reactions, and it should be a fun time.
Absolutely. It'll be like watching it right there with you, man. I can't wait.
Absolutely, no, it should be fun, and we will talk to you all again real soon here on Watch Along Wrestling. Thanks so much, Alex, and as you would say, take her easy.
Take her easy.